Hi, I'm Stephanie, and this is Texas Peach Knits. Welcome to 2024. Today I'm going to show you all of my projects from 2023. Actually, I'm not. I thought about it, and then I thought, you know, that's all in the past. I don't need to pull all of them out again. But 2023 was a great knitting year for me. I hope that you felt good about all the things you did in 2023. I do have a list of what I finished. It was 8 pairs of socks, 7 sweaters, 6 other items, and one shawl, 8 hats, and 1 blanket. So in all, I finished 31 projects, and that's pretty good for, homeschooling full-time and being a mom and all those kinds of things. So if it's your first time here, I am Stephanie. I'm Texas Peach Knits on Instagram, and my email is texasppeachknits@gmail.com. I homeschool my 4 children who are ages 7 through 14. No, wait, he's still 6. He's not 7 yet. So age 6 through 14, first grade through freshman in high school. I live west of Fort Worth, Texas with my musician husband, and we don't live on a farm, but we do have chickens, so quite a few chickens. Today is Sunday, January 14th, and if you are in the middle of the United States, you are probably very cold today. I probably won't get this video edited and out today, but I did want to point out that it is quite cold, and I know that a lot of the United States is very cold right now. So we're having a cold front here where I am in Texas. For the next 3 days, we're going to be between like 11 degrees Fahrenheit and maybe just barely above freezing. So all of the hand knits are coming out, and this is our time to shine, knitters, right? This is what we are here for. We knit all these things so that during the cold front we can be warm and all of our friends and loved ones can be warm. So everybody in my family has been wearing their hand knit socks. I have got my Christmas socks on my feet. I'm not going to show them to you. Today I have this lovely little crescent shawl that a knitting friend made me on, and I am looking forward to a bright 2024, even though it is starting out quite cold. On Thursday this past week, it was 70 and gorgeous, and so I took all of my kids to the playground, which everyone had the same idea, so there were lots of people there. And I walked around and worked on a pair of socks while my children played or talked to their friends, so it was lovely. And I'm so glad I did, because we are not going outside right now. Actually, tonight there is like maybe a forecast of there being wintry weather. And if you know anything about Texas, as soon as there is a drop of snow or ice, everything shuts down. And I have mixed emotions, because I love the idea of just shutting things down again and staying home and getting all cuddled up. But then also, it's not so fun to be stuck at home, especially if you have problems with the cold weather, like the electricity turning off or pipes freezing or those types of things. So I'm just hoping that we can all stay warm and safe and enjoy this cold snap by making use of all of our knits. So I am not going to show all of those 2023 finished objects. And going into 2024, I have a lot of goals. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my knitting goals, a couple of finished objects which I already gave away, and some works in progress. So I have one new thing, a couple of things you haven't seen in a while, and so I hope you are snuggled up and ready to see some projects. So I did bring my coffee out with me today. My husband got me this mug, and it says Southern Girl or Southern Gal on the inside, since I grew up in Georgia. And I think these are, I'm 98% sure that these are oranges, but I'm pretending they're peaches. So to me, they are peaches. Okay, so let's talk knitting goals. I have a knitting journal, and I've been using the same one for several years, and I have used very, very little of it. And so 2023 ends right here. So this is the beginning, and that's how much I've used in like several years. I have a problem with notebooks. The problem is I don't want to write anything down unless it's exactly the right thing and I'm not going to want to change it. So my whole life, keeping journals, keeping even calendars, I have had issues with filling them in because I don't want to mess them up. I know this about myself, and it is an issue because I really wish I would write more things down. And I have a tendency to write things down on temporary pieces of paper until I'm sure I want them to go into my notebook. And I guess I could use like a Post-it note system, but I don't want to buy a ton of Post-it notes. And then I would have to like, is this worth using a Post-it note for even? So I think I have some emotional hang-ups with notebooks. But this year I'm trying to set up my notebook in a way that I don't feel like I'm wasting the space, but I also am using it for what it is. So in December, I test ran my idea. And my idea was to have a couple of pages for each month and include projects I started, projects I completed, and then have yarn in and yarn out. Do you notice anything about December? There's not a lot written down. I think part of that is I kind of forgot I was using it and then went in and like scribbled some stuff in at the end. I also didn't really buy any yarn. And then on my yarn out, I didn't fill it in December because I had a different page for the 2023 yarn out. So that didn't really work out too well for me. So for January, I wanted to use a similar setup, kind of shrink it down, try something new, see if I used it more. And so far, it doesn't look like as much white space. So I like that because that means I'm using it. So I put all of those things on one page. I have my started, finished, yarn in, and yarn out. And then I thought, wouldn't it be fun to keep track of which projects I worked on each day? That sounds like a great idea. So I made this calendar. Isn't that beautiful? And look at all these empty days. Did I not work on anything on those days? no, I just forgot that I was doing this. And so now I get to feel guilty that I didn't fill in what I was working on every day. Do you ever do that? You like set yourself up to fail. I already know that I don't like filling in notebooks. Why do I set impossible goals for myself? So that I don't think I'm going to continue into February. However, I did make a second set of pages for January. I made a projects notes page so that if I did have any notes I wanted to make on any of the projects that I was working on in January, I could write them down here, and I'm kind of squishing them all together. And then I started kind of a list of my 2024 goals, just because I was trying to get them out of my head. But the funny thing is I already have this list on Instagram in my Make 9, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But anyways, this is my attempt to use my knitting journal, and it's okay if I mess it up, and it's okay if it's not perfect. That is fine. So this year, goal-wise, I am joining in the kind of like get rid of your whips challenge. I do have a ton of whips rolled over from last year. I'm not saying I can't start anything new until they're done, but I am wanting to make a big dent in the things I have already started. So I love having lots of projects going on at the same time. I love having one or even two pairs of socks going. I like having a sweater going. I like having a blanket project going, and I usually have something else too. I am very comfortable with that. But so I am going to try to finish my current sweater project before I start the next sweater project. So I am doing that. I will allow myself to have two pairs of socks going if I want to, because sometimes I have like a textured sock, and then I also want a more mindless sock. But ultimately, like, knitting is my hobby. I've heard this from so many lovely podcasters this year. It's our hobby. We love it. This is for fun. Don't stress yourself out with unreasonable goals. So I'm trying to get rid of my whips. I don't know if there's a hashtag for that one. I'm also not buying new supplies. So this is going to go across a lot of my hobbies, because my husband David and I decided we have accumulated a lot of entertainment and hobby stuff. He has a ton of records that he likes to listen to. I have a ton of books that I like to read, yarn, music supplies, speaker systems. That's him. That's his side. Speaker systems, sewing supplies. So this year we decided together that we were not going to buy new entertainment items. So that includes hobby supplies, books, DVDs. We still buy DVDs. I don't know. I just like having DVDs, and I get them used. So, and none of this have we ever spent an outrageous amount of money on, because we're very frugal. But we have accumulated enough that we have enough to enjoy for this calendar year without having to buy new things. So that's what we're doing. I do have a few exceptions, such as if I receive any kind of money. My mother-in-law is so kind, and my mother is so kind, and they will give me a little bit of money for my birthday, but that's not until November, so got a while. I can spend my birthday money on yarn if I want to. Also, if it's for a gift, like for Christmas or Mother's Day or whatever, if that's what I really want, that's fine. That's a gift. And then also I'm making an exception for Anna Knitter's Opal yarn because last year I bought a box from her of yarn, and I basically said when I use this up, I will put in another, or I'll start watching her site for a collection I like. I bought a lot of the Van Gogh collection, and so I'll be watching for another collection that I really like to purchase. So not necessarily restricting ourselves, but just saying enjoy what we have. So I think a lot of people do that at the beginning of the year, and I'm joining in. So using my stash, using the patterns and the books that I already have, all of these things go under that. Don't buy new hobby things. So as far as make-alongs go, I'm definitely doing the Make 9 2024. You can go on Instagram and see my 3 Make 9 boards. I'll show you a few of the projects today, but I'm not going to go through all of them today. I am planning to participate in Wise Owl Knits Wildflower Tea Knit Along. That is going to start March the 1st, and I'm hoping to use all yarns from stash. I already have the pattern, and I'm going to be shopping my stash for the yarns to use for that. The other make-alongs I'm going to participate in are Crochetty HD's Hip to be Squared make-along, and that is having to make 2 squares a month. So I'm working on a Battenberg blanket, so I'll be participating in her make-along. And also I'll be participating in my own make-along. This summer I'm going to be doing my fluffier stash again, because between June and August is the perfect time to reorganize, reassess, use your stash. It's kind of a reinvigorate those New Year's resolutions. So wait for that in the summer. If you have any like redecorating of your yarn stash you need to do, you can participate in the fluffier stash make along with me. Okay, so that is all of my make alongs. I am gonna show you my finished object stuff. So the first thing I finished, I showed you back in December that I wanted to make. It was this cute little classic teddy bear from this book, Baby Knits Made Easy. It is a DK publication. This pattern worked up really nicely. I didn't have any issues with the pattern. I used a yarn bee. I think it was like a smooth and something. I'll put all the information in the comments, but I used a worsted weight yarn bee yarn acrylic, and I used size 5 needles. So my bear turned out smaller than the bear in the pattern because I believe it calls for a bulky or a chunky yarn and like size 8 needles. So my bear did turn out smaller, but very cute. And I will insert a picture so that you can see it. And this has been sent to a friend of mine who just had a baby boy right after Christmas. So I mailed it away to her. The other thing I finished was also a baby gift. It was not on my Make 9 list, but it was for a friend at church that also had a baby boy, and I made this Argyle slipover vest, and I'll share a picture of that. And actually I recorded a little video, so I'm going to insert the video now of me talking about this vest. Hello, so here is Stephanie from the past, just jumping on in my no makeup and all that glory to show you the baby vest that I finished and I will hopefully be gifting tomorrow at church. So this is the baby vest that I made, and this is a size 3 to 6 months out of, the pattern was DK weight yarn, and I used what I consider a light worsted. This is a unknown wool acrylic blend, is the light green, and all the brown and yellow in the color work is Cascade 220 superwash. So I have quite a bit of Cascade 220 superwash scraps from making baby blankets several years ago, and so I try to incorporate it into baby projects now. So this pattern is a new to me pattern that I found as a part of a, I think the whole pattern collection is free. I will double check that, but I found it on Love Crafts, and it's by West Yorkshire Spinners. The pattern collection is for their Bo Peep Pure yarn line, which is a DK baby yarn. And this pattern is called the Louie and Lilly Slipover. So it's a little slipover vest. Now, the pattern itself is all solid colored. The color work is not included in the pattern, and I'll show you where I found that color work in just a minute. So this is knit in pieces. So from the bottom up, you knit the front first, and you separate at the sleeves and the neck. So you knit the two arm or shoulders separate. And then after you've knit the back, the flat stockinette piece, you put the pieces together and pick up stitches for the armholes and the V-neck at the neck, the neck, V-neck. It also has this 2-button enclosure, which is really nice because babies always have large heads, and I used a couple of buttons from my great aunt Tilly's button stash. They're just a plasticky type button with like a wood grain. So they're kind of interesting, and I liked that the whole project only had 2 buttons because I really don't love buttonholes and I really don't love sewing on buttons. So 2 buttons I can handle. So it has this little flap so that you have a bigger opening to get the baby's head in. So all the knitting and the pattern, the instructions were very straightforward. It was very easy to follow, and it comes in several sizes. This is actually the 3rd size because they had a tiny baby size, which I would expect would be a preemie to a newborn, a 0 to 3 month size. This is a 3 to 6 month, and then I think it had 2 or 3 more sizes. And the pattern collection also included a bunch of sweaters and a bonnet, I think, and other items. So I'm going to go back and look at the pattern collection and probably save the whole thing so that I can remember to knit more of them because it really worked up nice and was easy to follow. So what I used for the color work, because you know I'm wanting to make a color work vest for my husband. His I'll do in the round and do color work on both sides. But for this one, I mainly needed to have extra space because I was afraid I was going to run out of the green yarn. This is how much green yarn I ended up having left. So I think it would have been really, really tight if I had knit the whole thing without the color work. So adding in the extra Cascade 220 really stretched this yarn because this is not a lot of yarn left. And I didn't have a full skein of the green. Okay, so where I got the Argyle pattern was this book that I purchased over the Christmas break to help me with knitting my husband's Fair Isle vest. I picked it up at Half Price Books. It was only $4.99, and they were doing after Christmas, between Christmas and like the end of December or maybe New Year's, 20% off everything. So I paid even less than that, which is a great deal. And so this is Traditional Knitting Patterns of Ireland, Scotland, and England by Gwen Morgan. And it's almost unrecognizable. So this book has just a ton of sweater and vest, or they call them slipover patterns in both Guernseys and Fair Isle. And they don't have just the charts for Fair Isle ideas. Like, it's not like you can have a whole bunch of charts to choose from, but you have to look at the patterns, and then each pattern has its own charts, if that makes sense. The pattern I ended up using was this Faroe Island sweater. This red one, and from the neck you can see the Argyle. Let me hold it up together. So you can kind of see hers is all in those blues, and I squished this white section. So I just did one row of green here instead of several rows of white like it is there. And I thought I might get into the next section of the pattern, but then I realized the vest is not big enough to fit the whole pattern. So I stopped after that Argyle portion. So, and then this is kind of what the chart looked like. So basically I just looked at the chart and figured out how many stitches across I was going to need, and then that's how I lined up. I actually got the sides to line up with the same number of stitches on each side, so I thought that worked out really well. And the center of the neck is right in the center of this yellow diamond right here, which worked out nicely. So what I plan to do with that book is, when I'm choosing Fair Isle patterns for my husband's vest, I'm going to use this as a resource. So there's definitely some sweaters and vests and things in here I might be interested in knitting, but I want to concentrate on one thing first. So anyways, that's what I wanted to show you before I gift it. All right, I'll see you in a minute in the future. And I thought I was going to mail that vest, but I ended up, or no, I thought I was going to give it to her at church, and then she wasn't there that Sunday. Then I was going to mail it, and you know how that goes. I didn't get to the post office. And so I saw her today at church and gave her the vest, and I just hope it fits and he can get a little bit of use out of it. before he gets too big. So the next vest I'm making is a Fair Isle vest that I am making for my husband David, and this is a new project. It's one of my goals for 2024 to knit him a new vest. And in December videos or November, I talk a little bit about a past vest I had knit him that he wears, but the fit is not great. So I'm using Elizabeth Zimmerman's knitting workshop, and she has this vest in here, and she's so funny, but she tells you pretty clearly that she doesn't want you to just copy her recipe that she has. She wants you to be creative and do your own thing. But for the most part, I'm copying her pattern. So this is for David, and I have done a swatch, so I will show you that. Now, you can tell that this book is older because in the pattern that she includes for the vest, the largest size is quite a bit smaller than David, so it does not fit him, but I can do math. So I did a swatch, and I did knit this flat, and I know that knitting in the round, my gauge might be a little different, but I think it's gonna be fine. So this is my swatch, and this is Holst Garn Super Soft. So it is a fingering weight, 100% wool, and it is very, very woolly. I chose 3 of the motifs from her design, and I'm alternating my background colors. So this darker brown is going to be the main background color that I use for all the ribbing, and then I will be using this lighter tan color in between chunks of the dark. So actually, the next color in the vest would have these brown X's, but they will be on the light background. So there will be 6 different color combinations, since I'll be swapping the background color every other row, and there are 3 motifs, if that makes sense. So I think it will be enough, and we'll see. If I get to here and I'm bored, I might add some different motifs, but I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to knit this from the bottom up in the round, and then I haven't decided yet if I'm going to knit in the round the straps and have to steek them, or if I'm just going to go back and forth, because back and forth is not super fun. This swatch was back and forth, and I tried not to clip my yarn so that I could pull out larger pieces of it if I end up needing extra yarn. I don't think I will, but just to be safe, just in case. So let me show you my colors of Holst Garn. This is my main color. It is called Truffle, and they're not going to come out the right color today. That's probably the best. So this is Truffle. It's kind of a medium brown color, and it has lots of flecks of different colors in it. But yeah, with this gray sky, it's just not going to come out right. This is the other background color. It is called Pussy Willow. So those are my 2 background colors. And then I have 3 colors that I will be rotating. It's this tobacco, which I love this brown. This is like a red brown. That's bad. This is more accurate, the reddish brown. I love this brown. And this is called Vintage Heather, but I thought it looked like a dark indigo wash on blue jeans. And lastly, I have Larch, this green. So these are my 3 motif colors. And then my pop of color is this maize. It's kind of like a corn gold, because maize is corn, right? And I do really like this gold color too. I think this is a very, it would look good on a lot of different people. And so you can see that I put the maize in every motif. It goes across the middle. So I'm not working on this project anymore this month probably, because I want it to be a whole year project, and my goal for this month was to swatch and measure. So I know how many stitches that I need to cast on to start the vest, and I will probably start it after I've finished a couple of my other projects. So if I can finish that by next Christmas, I will be delighted. It would be great for him to get it under the Christmas tree. So, but he knows that he's coming. He does like it. He is excited about it. So, and I'm using my favorite needles. These are Knitter's Pride Zing in a US size 3. I do love these needles. I really want to get more of them. But I just use the needles that I have. My next work in progress is my daughter's sweater. This is for my 14-year-old daughter. It is the Boxy Cable Boxy by Wise Owl Knits, and I'm knitting it out of Cascade 220 that I bought at a thrift store maybe 2 summers ago. So she had kind of tagged this as her yarn, and it is supposed to be a very wide sweater. The turtleneck is where it is started, and then you knit the cables down each shoulder. And when you pick up stitches along, and Cheryl has you do short rows on the front and the back, I made the mistake of doing the same short rows for both the front and the back, and then I realized later that in the pattern they're different. So there were different short row numbers for the back than the front, and I did them both the way the back was. I had her try it on. I think it's fine. So it's going to be fine. So I'm almost out of the first 2 balls of this Cascade 220. I think it's a paints color, but I have 2 more balls of it. And then at the bottom, if I need more or ribbing, I have some of this Wool of the Andes Calypso Heather. And so I'm going to put that at the bottom, and I will likely use some of this for the sleeves as well. And then I have a little bit more of the purple heather from Cascade 220. If I happen to completely run out of yarn, I don't know what I'll do, because I don't think I want to incorporate a 4th color. So I might have to look on D-stashes or something to find more of this purple heather color for the sleeves. So modifications that I made that were not accidents were I took 2 inches off each shoulder. Because looking at the pictures and seeing how narrow my daughter is, the sweater was going to be like out to almost her elbows. And she did not want it. She wanted it big and oversized, but she did not want it that wide, and which is good because I'm worried about running out of yarn. So I took 2 inches off each side. So the only bad thing is that I'm not done with this sweater now so that she can wear it in this cold weather, but we will probably have more cold weather. So, but I'm very happy with how this is turning out. I'm enjoying Cheryl's pattern, and I have all the information on that in the box below if you are interested in it. You don't have to knit it in wild colors unless you also have a 14-year-old who is comfortable with wild colors. Next work in progress are my husband's socks. This is, I'm not sure, but this is probably the 7th or 8th pair of socks I have knit him. I only have this much of the first one done. And I am knitting the Rhinebeck Roomies pattern by Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady. I'm using my Opal Van Gogh yarn, and I'm using this Lion brand sock. It's an old sock yarn that Lion brand used to have. So I purchased several of the single colors when it was being clearanced out from Joann's a long time ago. So this is leftovers, but it looks great with this Van Gogh. So he likes a long leg, and I only have 1 ball. It's a 72 stitch sock, and he has 13.5 feet. So in the past, I bought 2 balls and ended up using like 140 grams, I think is about what I've used in the past, trying to make the leg as long as possible. What I'm doing this time is I weighed this as I was doing the leg, and I let myself use 25 grams for the leg. I think it was 20. It was either 25, it might have been 30. Let's say it's 30. So maybe I used 30 grams for the leg. Then I put in my heel, and then when I get to halfway gone, so if I get down to like 51 grams left, maybe 52 just to be safe, I'm gonna stop knitting the foot and start the toe in this. So the toe could start, you know, halfway up his foot. And that's fine. I've done that before for other socks as well, just to get them long enough and use the yarn. And I would rather have the legs match than worry about the toes. So, and then the other sock, I will have plenty to make it match. And I think I have plenty of this because this is still a good amount. So, but I love the way this looks with the 2x2 ribbing. And I did extra rows. I think I did 25 or 30 rows of ribbing, and I really like the way it looks, and it's gonna fit him really well. And so this is on size US 1 circular needles. These are old Gogh circular sock needles. So, and this is my preferred way to knit socks, one at a time on magic loop. I find that easiest to take places with me because I almost exclusively work on this project in the car, in waiting rooms, or like at the playground. So if I had 2 socks, it would be more fiddly for me to hold while walking around a playground. Okay, so for the hip to be squared, make along with Crochet 80 HD, my friend Jackie. I am working on my Battenberg Scrappy Blanket. This is one of the scrappy blankets I started last year. And I had already made some squares for this. I'm going to review my yarn just a little bit with you. I'm using this Snowflake Wool Blend. That is a sport weight yarn. It's from Hobby Lobby. They no longer have it, but it's a really fun, colorful sport weight yarn. And then I'm using some leftover Knit Picks Brava Sport, which I had bought a whole bunch of this to make sweaters for my daughters, and I ended up only making 1 sweater. My eldest daughter wore it for a year, and then my younger daughter fit into it, and it's stretched so much. I think she's worn it for 3 or 4 years now, and she still wears it. Someday I need to show that, but it's a wreck because it's like her everyday lounging sweater. I probably need to make her a new one. So it's a mess. But so I have multiple colors of the Knit Picks Brava Sport and just these 2 colors of this, but I have a couple of these. So this is what I have done most recently is I started putting them together. I have quite a lot of this Dove Heather from Knit Picks, and my plan is to use all the light colors. I have a lot of this. I have a little bit of a weird yellow, a little bit of a light purple, and maybe another light color. Those are going to be all my light colored squares. All the dark colored squares are going to be the Hobby Lobby yarn and also the darker Knit Picks, the darker Knit Picks Brava Sport. So here's like a blue square. That's the back. So this could be like right here. It's very hard to show. And I kind of pondered, should I have some kind of plan? Should I put these in some kind of order? Should I make lines of the same color? And I think I came to the conclusion that I'm just gonna mix them up, which means I need to just start making squares of all the colors and just putting them together randomly, and we will see where it goes. But my plan for this blanket is for it to live on that couch in the schoolroom because it needs a new blanket. So and a good thing about me working on this now is if I run out of yarn, I know Knit Picks always puts this Brava on sale at some point. So if I get to the point that I've used up everything I have, I know I said I wasn't going to buy more yarn, but this is to finish a project. If it gets to the point where I've used up everything I have and I need more of something, I can place an order. So it's good to finish things, whether or not it means ordering a little bit of yarn. All right, last knitting project. This is a doozy. I need to clothe my children's knitted animal friends. They are still naked. So because we are trying not to spend money on extra things, I thought it might be a good goal for me to try to make their knitted animal friends clothing for Easter, which means I want to try to work on it in secret, which means I won't have as much time to work on it, and Easter is the earliest it could possibly be this year. Am I setting myself up for failure? Probably. But my goal is to go from one animal to the next and just make one item. So I'm working on the dog's pants. My other daughter has the fox, so I'll make one item of clothing for the fox. My other daughter has the cat, so I'll make one article of clothing for the cat, then I'll make one thing for the squirrel. So hopefully everyone will get at least one item of clothing for Easter. And it'll be like Dobby, he's like free now because he got a sock. But we'll see. So I pulled out my basket of yarns. These I bought back when I was making those animals. They are mostly Knit Picks Comfy fingering weight cotton, which works lovely for the clothes, and I like the range of colors it comes in. But for the blue jeans, I wanted blue jean type yarn, and I had this leftover sock yarn that looked like blue jeans. So I have been working on the blue jeans. So here are the little blue jeans, and they've got a little opening in the back for the tail to fit through. And I have teeny tiny little buttons that I already bought that go on this. So I've got to use the things I already have and make the stuff. So that is my outrageous goal, I would say, is to try to make all these little clothes for Easter. And if my children say that I do not love them, I will take away their toys. But anyways, I thought it would be cute and fun, and hopefully they will enjoy it, and maybe I will be able to keep it a secret. We will find out. So that is the end of all of my whips. I have talked a long time about whips. This year, I just really want to do what I enjoy, but also feel like I am finishing things, and not feel like I am buying things that I don't need, because right now I'm pretty well set. I've got enough stuff. So later in the year, I might feel differently, in which case I might have new goals. But so I haven't talked about spinning in a while. I have been doing some spinning, and I will probably have a spinning episode later this spring showing you what I have been working on. But I do have an announcement for the Fancy Reading and Needlecraft Club. Holly from Mystery Mouse Yarn is leading this round of the club, and she chose the book The Scarlet Pimpernel. So if you didn't join us last time when we read An Old-Fashioned Girl, and you are interested in reading a book with yarny friends, this is the club for you. It is all on Telegram. It's very low-key, and we will not stress you out if you do not read fast enough, and you are allowed to listen to the audiobook. So the audiobook is available for free from LibriVox, and you can also get the book from your library. I read this book a few years ago because I realized my kids were nearing high school, and I was paying attention to what books I saw on the high school reading lists. This book was one of them, and it got rave reviews, and I had never read it. It was never on my radar as a student. It was never on any of my lists, and I'm finding that more and more that there are lots of great classic books out there that have been taken off of school reading lists. So if you missed this book in your education, I would say this is a great book to read. It takes place during the French Revolution, and it is fiction, but it's also a mystery and a romance, along with a little bit of interesting history. So it's mostly fiction. very entertaining, very easy to read. To go along with the book, we encourage our members to make something fancy to go along with it. And I'm not sure what project I'm going to say was my Scarlet Pimpernel project, but I did design a little cross-stitch bookmark. There we go, the Scarlet Pimpernel. And Holly actually shared a picture of the flower with me. And I shared it in the Telegram group. So if you want to make this little cross-stitch bookmark, you're welcome to. Here is the flower that I already stitched. And then I have to put the book title on. And I don't know, I might put something else on too. This bookmark, cross-stitch bookmark, I purchased at a garage sale a while back. And I knew I'd probably never make the design for the bookmark, but I'm happy to have the bookmark and the supplies to be able to make this. So I just pulled threads from my stash, and yeah, so it's fun. I think I'm going to put the words in the darkest purple color, maybe with some red accents. So it's kind of fun, but it's a good group because you can share all kinds of crafts. Fancy Needlecraft includes everything pretty much. And it's just a super nice group of ladies who like to talk about books and their projects. So if you want to join that, you can send me an email at texaspeachknits@gmail.com, or you can contact me through Instagram. But if I don't currently follow you on Instagram, it might take me longer to get you the invite to Telegram because the messages go to a different folder. So yes, so just contact me, let me know that you're interested in the club, and I will give you the link to Telegram. So we're going to start, you can start reading now, and the first discussion is February 2nd. So we have a little bit of time to read the first part of the book, and all those details are in the club. And Holly dyed a mystery yarn to go along with the book. So you can go watch her podcast, Mystery Mouse Yarn, that she put out, the most recent one. She has a mustache in the cover because she's super fun, and you can hear about her mystery yarn and how to get it. But yeah, just lovely group of ladies. We really enjoyed our round one with an old-fashioned girl, and looking forward to round 2. So stay warm. I look forward to talking to you more in the future, and I hope you are knitting, crocheting, and spinning all the things that make you happy. Bye.